Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of ClueCon Weekly. Joining us this week is Greg Plum, principal at PartnerReady, a consulting firm specializing in software as a service companies, and CompTIA leader and teacher. And thank you for joining us today, Greg.
Of course, Luca. Good to be here.
Would you like to give us a quick introduction about yourself to start?
Sure. So I've been in technology for about the last 20 years, 24 years, but who's counting? And I mostly work with SaaS leaders. Most of my roles have been around channel development, channel chief type roles. That's really before when it first started, it was called alternate channel back in the day because it was a sideline business. Now many companies are channel first or channel only. And really what we do with PartnerReady, we focus on ecosystem strategy. And without getting too detailed, it's basically finding the ultimate customer and helping and then from the customer, we find out which are viable routes into that customer. And that's where we uncover viable partnership opportunities and how to really help MSPs, depending on who they are, how to really identify customers through an indirect sales strategy versus going the traditional direct strategy.
So on this podcast, we very often talk about and for companies trying to become, well, not even companies, like projects trying to become companies. So three developers, very good software trying to get somewhere. So I think I will ask the first thing I will ask you is, what exactly is a channel strategy? What does it define, and how is different from just selling your product?
Okay, so it used to be, it's evolving really. Channel is pretty much getting a job done through another company, through a partner. So you introduce a third party, and the value in that, for a SaaS, let's do this, look at it through the SaaS leader's eyes. The value in it is I am being brought into a sales opportunity way down that sales pipeline, right? Once the opportunity, if you've done your job well and you have a viable partner that's been properly educated and they know where you fit, they're only bringing deals or opportunities to you where your product is a fit. You're not having to go out and carpet bomb, with mass email campaigns or calling campaigns or social campaigns. You basically educate that partner well, you enable them, and then they're out doing their job. When they do that, they're going to uncover opportunities, provided it's a good fit. They're an ideal partner for you. They're going to uncover opportunities, bring them to you further down that sales cycle. So it's a much quicker sale. And you're going to spend less time, looking for the right opportunities, and you're going to spend more time finding the optimal fit and really closing more deals. The trade-off there, Luca, is it costs margin, right? You're going to have to give away, some of the revenue. So there's a rev share model in that, and there are different. When you say what's channel, well, channel can look a lot of different ways. I usually look at it as, whose paper is it on? Who's billing the customer? You're going to have a partner involved. Are you going to be putting it for the SaaS leader? Are they going to work directly with the customer, bill the customer, and then pay a percentage, a rev share to the partner? That's one model. The other one is more of a reseller type model where the partner will get billed by the SaaS leader, the SaaS company. They get billed, they build in a margin, and then they bundle it with other services typically, and then roll that out to the customer base. So there's the two different models. But what's happening now, it's the channel is evolving. Channel is a subset of really the ecosystem. And an ecosystem strategy is kind of stepping back and saying that end customer, what is the job they're doing? Who are they buying? When are they buying? Who's influencing them? When you do that, you start to uncover other partnerships that you may not even view as a viable or traditional channel partner, like an MSP or a telecom agent. It might be an attorney. It might be an insurance agent. It's just trying to figure out which influencers are really working with that customer. So the whole concept of what channel is, it's really evolving, and ecosystem has become a buzzword. And it's definitely more complicated. It's nowhere just a two-way street. It's much more of a matrixed environment these days.
Good. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. And so what kinds of partners should people look out for, especially when they're starting out? Again, my favorite scenario is I have two friends who come up with a very good idea. Maybe it's in the AI space because right now it's hot, or telco space where I live. And the software is good. And we have a few, not even customers. Everybody has, those 10 early adopters that they become friends through the first parts of development. And how do I find a channel or ecosystem partner that makes sense?
So here's what happens. The wrong question to ask. Let's start with what not to do first is,
Mhm.
who do I
Perfect.
know that can sell my product? That's usually what's asked. Who do I know that can sell? Here's my product. Who do I know that can sell it? It's the wrong question to ask. The right, because we're what that's building, that's not an ecosystem. That's an ecosystem. It's like, okay, I'm putting myself at the center, and who can sell this for me to the customer? The right thing to do is to focus on the ICP, the ideal customer profile. Who is your target customer? Now you ask the questions: what is their job that they're doing? How do they get it done? What are all the influencers? Who do they work with? Do they work with integrators? Do they work with consultants? Do they work with attorneys, insurance agents? Do they belong to different groups, organizations? Do they attend different conferences? Find out how that ICP gets their job done, and what's going to happen. This ideal partner profile will emerge when you do it. So you're really putting the customer at the center, not yourself, and then stepping back. It's the analogy we use at PartnerReady is, think of it like a NASCAR race or Indy. You got the driver going around, the driver being that customer, the target customer. They pull into a pit stop. You know what it looks like, right? As soon as they pull in the pit stop, they get swarmed by a team, over a dozen people with a specific job, with a common goal of getting that driver back out on the track as soon as possible. Each of those players could be a viable partner. That's the whole, really the whole mindset around ecosystem strategy.
Hmm. Would you say that? So this is another interesting thought that comes to mind, because I just literally discussed this few days ago with a group of pre-sales engineers like myself. We have weekly meetings, and
Mhm.
do you feel like a partner could be a company that's in the same space, almost a competitor, but someone who has a slightly different product offering, something like that, or even direct competitor, like some cases?
100%. And actually, when you look at that NASCAR model, one of those entities, one of those players is absolutely competition. Why? Because they're targeting the same customer you're targeting, but guess what? They may have a weakness. They may have something, a gap in their service that you might be able to fill. So guess what? That's the whole concept. I mean, we didn't make up the term co-opetition. It's been around for a long time. That's
Hmm.
the very nature of it. That's the reason it exists. When there is a gap, if you can help fill that gap, why not lock arms with that competitor and go to market together? You both win business that you might not have gotten otherwise.
Yeah, for example, in telco, we have sort of channel, let's say, collaborations going on with companies. So Signalwire is very programmer and programmable telco oriented,
Yes.
while many other companies have a more of a wholesale, high quality connectivity approach that's very way less programmable, but they can do a lot of traffic more. So sometimes someone comes to us that looking for that, and we give them to the partners. Some other times the partners say, okay, you're looking for something that's more programmable. Let me put you through to my friend Luca, who's going to help you with the development and SaaS aspect more than we can. So it definitely works.
Well, and that's because that's your value prop, right? You've got a certain area that you focus where your expertise is, and why not let your competition, let the market know exactly where you fit, and then yeah, there are clearly opportunities to be able to pass business back and forth.
So marketing wise, do partners generally provide their own marketing? Is it something, because again, startup, two people, three people, we're all engineers. Two of us haven't spoken to someone that's alive in the last 3 weeks because we were busy launching the product. Not exactly the most personable people. Will Can you find a partner that will take care of effectively? I won't say the entire go-to-market, because that's too much, but a partner that's going to take care of most of the marketing, really.
Well, let's talk. So, in the communication space, right? Those are the classic players. Are the telecom agents that have become unified communications agents, that work oftentimes with the TSDs. They'll work with the larger shops, with the Intellisys, the Avants, the Telerises, or Bridgepoints. Um, those other shops, if you are looking for those partners are really good at oftentimes selling, really good at selling. And I know developers, that's not what they want to be doing. So that's why that's why there's a inherent good fit, a dovetail fit here. If you've got the technology, if your audience, they're developers and they have a technology they want to take to market, they've got the tech down pat, but they don't necessarily have the messaging down or how to actually position it to the market. That's where partners, not all partners, but you'd want to seek the ideal partner profile as somebody who has that as a strength. So when you're going out and looking for partners, absolutely, that's one you're going to want to look for. Somebody that has the ability to sell effectively. And the channel, communications channel, very strong when it comes to selling. That is really that's their core. That's where they were born. Marketing, it depends. You're going to probably have to move up market a little bit with the partners, have a little bit of a larger marketing shop, because sometimes the partners turn to their SaaS providers to assist with the marketing, to have the collateral that might be brandable. So that's going to be a dance, but those are the questions to ask. What are your strengths when you're talking to these partners? Have that analysis and sit down and say, okay, here's where are you really strong or where are you weak? You want to obviously align with those that augment your weaknesses. So I think you're in good shape. The developers are in good shape if they're focusing on the communications partners, because those folks love to sell. And that's the perfect fit. Marketing, a little bit different. That's going to take a little bit of digging. And, those are the questions you're going to want on the front end, because some of that may fall upon you and you may need to pull in a fractional or pull in an agency to help with the collateral.
So I think that leads us into an interesting direction. What do you think a company, the three friends startup company,
Yep.
needs to get started with a partner? Because again, someone might not even be ready. Like, what stage and what materials, what experience do you think you need to have ready before you go seeking a partner? Because as you know, in this industry, there's a thing that's going too early. Like, you can definitely be too early to. I know people were trying to find a CFO and they don't have revenue. And yeah, I guess fine, but you're gonna need one eventually, but maybe next week. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, bare bones, you want to make it so it's easy for the partner, right? If you're going to them, you're like, look, I have this solution. You have to make it easy for them to work with you. Bare bones, you're going to need some kind of blurb about what you do, what your value prop is, why they should be paying attention to you. Because listen, these guys are busy, right? We know that typical partners have between 12 and 30 vendors they work with. That's a lot, right? You need to fight for mind share. So you need to stand out. You need to be able to tell your message crystal clear, what your differentiators are. So you need to have that blurb, what pain you're solving, what pain you're addressing. You need to have a PDF. I mean, I'm giving you bare bones, right? You need to have a PDF to be able to send out to people. You need to have a basic website or a landing page that gives people the opportunity to take a little bit of a deeper dive and then perhaps request a demo. Demos are huge these days. If you can get a demo and you're good, if you have the right folks doing the demos, then you're going to get a decent pull-through rate. Those are the very basics that you're going to want to have. If you don't have those, I'd say hold off. Don't go for the partners yet. Make sure you have the basics. And then also, you want to make sure you're targeting the right customer. You want to know the right questions to ask, the discovery questions, so you get the right partner and not just a partner, because you'll just end up spinning your wheels.
And what are a few of those questions? Just a general idea, then, of course.
Well, you want to know who they're serving, right? So you know your product, who your ICP is. Your target customer serves this, whatever group that is. You want to make sure at the core that your partners are serving the same customer, because that way you're aligned. If you have I'll give you an example. If my product, I've worked with a product before in the healthcare space. It was a collaboration tool and it was HIPAA compliant. So because it was HIPAA compliant, we knew that was our differentiator, right? There are so many tools out there to communicate these days, but when you get into compliance with HIPAA, it was a much more narrow band. So we targeted partners that focused on that market segment. So we just knew we had alignment. So what you're going to be looking for is where you fit in the market, who you best serve, find the partners that are serving that exact same market. Once you're aligned there, that's where you should be spending your time.
Yeah, I think that's a very good starting point. So as part of your curriculum, you are also part of CompTIA, right? Yeah. I'm curious about what, first of all, if you could explain what CompTIA is a little bit. I know, but some people that maybe are younger in this industry don't. Right. And what you do, what courses you teach, because I think people will benefit from just joining one of your courses, for example.
Oh, my goodness. Well, CompTIA, I think, is one of the best values in the industry. And I'm not paid to say that. so it's a global nonprofit that really is formed for the advancement of the IT industry is what it comes down to. So SaaS companies, MSPs that are out there, those that are looking to really kind of grow and take their technology to market. It's not just a marketing thing; it's also around regulations, and they are an advocate on Capitol Hill for tech companies. You know, they offer fly-ins for it. So there's so many different aspects and nuances to CompTIA. What I love about it is, frankly, we get an opportunity if you're involved. You know, if you raise your hand that you want to volunteer, you will get called on and you will get an opportunity. I mean, my first event was in 2013 and I didn't know a soul. I was always in your space, Luke. I was in the communications channel, so I knew all those players. This is more IT, right? And back in the day, they were kind of separate. Right? Back then, you had your telecom folks and then you had your IT folks. That's gone, right? That differentiation is gone thanks to the cloud. Everything's kind of merged together. Now you have technology as a whole. It's like that umbrella. But I went to that event. I didn't know a soul. So I committed to myself. I said, I'm not going to go to another event and not know anybody. So I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to volunteer. And I did get called on, and they will do that. You will get the opportunity. And the audience right now, they're focusing on MSPs. So if you are looking to get into that, the managed services provider, if you want to work with them and be a tool in their toolbox, this is a great way to go to market. The course that I teach, so I'm on back, you know, and you get tons of opportunities to, if you want to contribute to lead different organizations, different communities. I had the opportunity to work with the emerging technology. I chaired the emerging technology community, which was a great place to be because we dug in and we focused on AI and IoT. I mean, it's the shiny object. It was great. It was a ton of fun, and it was actually as ChatGPT was actually it was just prior to ChatGPT, but we were having these conversations about how to take these cutting edge technologies and how they were being deployed and actually monetized. So, you know, it takes you out of a single P&L and helps you look at the kind of a broader view of the industry as a whole and actually have a voice. Great opportunity for that. Finally, you know, being on faculty. So I teach MTC, it's managing the technology channel. That's the course that I teach. And it's a boot camp. It's an 8-hour over 2 weeks boot camp.
Nice.
And it's a ton of fun. And we get small companies. I was just on that before this session, actually. We get small companies. I've had, like a couple weeks ago, SAP was in there. I get different cybersecurity companies from large to small. It's a nice cross section of channel professionals that are looking for ways to message and form their value proposition when identifying partners to bring their product to market.
Nice, yeah. So many people know CompTIA for the certifications,
A+,
which are
exactly right. Yep.
especially the security cert, which is pretty much one of the standard ones. Like you can never go wrong with those. And also the Cloud Plus certification, it's very highly valued.
Yeah, and you know what? Data Plus is the newest. I think it's the newest. Oh. It's a recent one. So you know, obviously everything's about data. You know, and we're understanding that and the value of data. So the Data Plus certification, I think, is definitely, you know, we're doing what CompTIA does really well is what Wayne Gretzky said is he skates where the puck is going, and I think that's what CompTIA is looking to do.
Nice, yeah. In general, again, certifications are a very good tool, but I think also the membership sounds very interesting. It's something I'm going to look into.
Listen, it's the best value. Again, I'm not paid to say this, but to me, CompTIA membership is the best value for a SaaS player if you're looking to target MSP market, because what they do, you can, you know, for the annual membership, and it's tiered depending on the size of the company, but you can actually get a spot at their annual event, ChannelCon. You can get a table, a booth there for free. It's included in your membership. So, I mean, you go to any other event, you're going to pay $4,000 or $5,000 to have a booth. To me, it's one of the best values you can possibly have, and it gets
which is reasonable, frankly, in this day of $20,000 single tables with one chair.
That's yeah, it's definitely
there, and you probably know which conference I'm talking about.
I know exactly which conference you're talking, and there's a bunch of them like that, right? They are oftentimes 5-digit investments. Yeah, so CompTIA, I don't know where it's going to come in. It's going to come in way low 4 digits is where this comes in. for a SaaS player. So definitely one to take a look at.
Absolutely. So going back to your LinkedIn page, which I always like to go around and take a look at.
Sure.
So let's go back to what you do at PartnerReady. I see you are a fractional CMO or fractional executive in general, and PartnerReady uh, has that as a product effectively.
Yep.
Fractional C-suite people. How
Yep.
does it work out? Like, what is a fractional? Because fractional might be an answer to some of the requirements that a startup might have. Like, we don't need a CFO right now, but we need someone to take a look at the at the
Luca,
money.
that's who I mostly work. It's funny you say that because that's mostly who I work with, because they want to have the expertise, but they don't have the budget for it. So with the fractional, basically what you do is you work a portion of your week with a company, and they're basically on retainers. So you're retained for a set period of time, and that's all negotiable. It depends on what the needs are. Typically, the minimum engagement is 20%, which is 1 day a week, where you work with that provider, and then it usually, with the difference, it's not a consultant, and there's a very real difference. Consultants will come in and they are experts. There's no question. They will give you recommendations on here's how you impact your business. These are some steps to take. What's different with a fractional will step in and actually is a part of that team, a part of that leadership team, where you sit, like I sit right now with my clients side by side in the leadership meetings, and we work on a strategy together. And then I have things that I'm tasked with that I go and execute on behalf, as though I am a W-2 employee. So it's great for a SaaS founder that wants to have the experience but doesn't necessarily have the budget, where they can get it at a fraction of the cost. So they're getting those, with decades of experience for the cost of somebody that's basically, entry level.
Feels like, yeah, it's a very good way to get started. And I think I will say, as a sort of closing remark, that that's the right way to go for most startups. Like, many people think they need a lot more than what they actually need, especially in the non-technical side of the business. While having someone, you need someone with experience 1 day a week. You do need someone moonlighting as a marketing officer for the whole week, because that's not gonna get you anywhere. It's that's the difference.
Well, and the other thing, Luca, that is kind of the esoteric piece of this is, if you're getting somebody that's experienced, they also have a Rolodex. That's an old term. I don't know if anybody even knows what that means anymore. But they have a customer. They have a contact base that they can pull on, and that's one of my favorite things to do is connect those dots. If I'm working with a new company, I'm always going back and say, okay, who have I worked with in the past that might be able to benefit from an introduction to these guys? And that's what you'll get when you work with a seasoned executive.
Yes, but paradoxically, you actually almost need a more seasoned executive in the early stages than you need them more down the line. Like, that's where the experience really matters. Down the line, when you have a few thousand customers, etc., your landscape is changing. So maybe that time it's time to get someone who's deeply embedded in the company. It's really interesting as a
It is. It's an unfortunate paradox, from a budget standpoint, but that's where the fractional comes in. You can get that expertise. You get 100%. What we often say is you get 100% of the brain for a fraction of the time.
which is very, very good to have. Great. So, well, I mean, Greg, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a very good chat. Went through channel sales, what they are, how to get there, how to look for a partner, what CompTIA does, which is very interesting to me. I'll go take a look right after the recording, and especially about what the fractional executive is and how they can help startups. And, well, thank you again for joining us today, Greg.
My pleasure, Luca. Thanks for the opportunity to chat.
Greg Plum, principal of PartnerReady, joined us today, and thanks again. And for the rest of the people, I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Cheers.